welcome back to another episode of Prospects of the Land. Tim McKelly, Nate Bogue, more technical difficulties, but we're trying to fight through it. Nate, I don't know if you want to turn me down over there. I think I hear myself doubling up.
Yeah, for sure. I'll actually just put you on through my headphones. I look a little rough on stream. I am kind of like watching the stream back, and I definitely look a little rough. I'm like glitching out everywhere, so hopefully that gets a little bit better. You'll have to just sort of bear with us. Hopefully, I sound somewhat okay. In fact, I'm going to test that right now. Okay, yeah. So I do sound fine. I look a little funky. It is what it is. We're just gonna roll with it. Oh boy, we'd have to tell the fine people about all of our we'd have to tell the fine people about all the technological issues that we've been going through right now. It has been, oh my goodness, just not fun.
Yeah, it's been fun. A lot of trial and error.
A lot of
Creating
just
streams, not working. So yeah, trying to fight through this.
Yeah, we're fighting through it for all of you. So hey, again, we're gonna fight through it for all of you and still deliver the best baseball content that we possibly can. So yeah, wow, my I'm literally like watching the stream. And yeah, my camera does look very, very rough. I am very pixelated and jittery, but that's okay. We're gonna make the most of it until we can get stuff figured out. It's just how this all is going to work, unfortunately speaking. Taven, how are you, sir? Besides, of course, all the technological issues.
Doing good. Yep, doing good. Fun week in sports, end of March Madness, you got baseball starting back up, all affiliates finally. Got Davenport on the mound. Always a great day when he's pitching. Ducks got the sweep, so pretty good. How have you been the last week?
I have just been busy and we've been hitting the job boards hard. So yeah, we are we're getting into the grind of things, that's for sure. But yeah, it's a busy time, but it's a fun time because we got a lot of baseball to talk about. So for those of you that are new to the podcast, welcome to the first episode where we are actually going to be diving on in and talking about the results and how the teams have played. Maybe talk a little bit of guard ball, but we tend to save that because there's enough podcasts out there talking about what the Guardians are doing. We obviously like to throw our hats in the ring and throw the opinions out there, but this is a minor league show. You take a look at the logo that's right up there, all of the minor league affiliates. What we do is we go from the bottom up. We talk about results. After we talk about results and good performances, then we break down any sort of transactions that have happened while diving on in to some of the more finer details, questions that we may have, and things of that nature. Taven, anything to add on that regard?
Not really. I think you summed it up perfectly. Let's do it.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go ahead and do it. So again, we work from the bottom up, which means right now we are going to be starting with, once I get my tabs figured out here, I have a mouse. Let's use it. There we go. All right. Sorry, some of my information and whatnot was getting cut off. I would hate to do that. So here is the rundown. Again, we're going to go from Lynchburg to Lake County to Akron to Columbus and break everything down for all of you fine people in that regard. So let's get on over to Lynchburg. I got to open up another app. Again, when you have technology problems, you're not worried about anything else. So I'm a little ill prepared right now. Forgive me for such. But yeah, as Taven said, so overall, Taven, the minor league teams right now are a combined 13-4, and not a single team has lost a series yet. So a good start to the minor league season.
Yeah, for sure. I know last time I checked, Columbus was in first. I know Akron's obviously tied for first. They're undefeated. And, the lower levels, they're holding their own. I know Lynchburg, they came out the gate a little slow, but they're starting to pick it up, especially with the last two games of that series, and same with Lake County. So, yeah, it's obviously great to see them already get going to a quick start.
Well, let's dive on in again. We work from the bottom up, so we will start with Lynchburg. Taven, they did not get off to a great start. I think they were the only minor league affiliate that did not win their opening game. Well, maybe Columbus didn't win their opening game either. But yeah, Lynchburg, they started losing 7-0 to Fayetteville. They only gathered 2 hits. The fielding was a problem. And Taven, I was watching that game. I was kind of thinking, oh boy, like, are the Lynchburg Hellcats going to be in some trouble this year? And nope, that just proved to not be the case, because next game, come from behind effort, they win 7-5 or 6-5, I should say. They scored 2 runs in the top of the 9th inning to beat Fayetteville there. Some good performances in that game overall. When you move over there, Mijares was 2 for 4. And some other really good performances around there as well. But 9 walks, there were only 3 RBIs for the Hillcats in that game on 6 runs scored. But hey, a win is a win. You take it as you can get. And then in the Sunday game, it was another come from behind effort. Exact same scenario. You score 2 runs in the 9th. You win 6-5, although a little bit better of an all-around performance. How about Tommy Hawk performing? He went 1 for 2, drew 2 walks, 3 runs scored, also 2 RBIs for the former Oregon Duck in Bennett Thompson. Taven.
Thoughts on Lynchburg?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the bats, they they were real slow in the beginning, but they started to wake up, especially toward those last 2 series. I mean, you had a lot of young guys step up, do their thing, and they got on when they needed to and made it happen. That last game, what I saw out of that was Rafe Schlesinger. He had a great outing, first one of the year. He went 3 innings, struck out 2 guys, only gave up 2 hits. I mean, how much more can you ask for a guy in single A? So he was obviously on fire. Isaac Martinez, our guy out of the bullpen, he did his things. Pitching staff altogether, they were pretty solid throughout the series. Besides, Doty was a little shaky in the beginning earlier. But besides that, Doty in the first game, I think the rest of the pitching staff did pretty good throughout the series.
Yeah, so usually what we do, we start with the hitting stats, we move to the pitching stats. So here's some hitting stats for all you fine people surrounding the Lynchburg Hillcats. No home runs yet. Again, very, very few RBIs. This team only scored 12 runs, and I'm actually going to check what happened in that second game, but they scored 12 runs, doing some quick math. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 RBIs. So 12 runs scored, only 9 RBIs. Here's where Lynchburg is making their money, though, Taven. It is the walk to strikeout ratio. I would have to tally them up and do the math here as a team really fast. But, I mean, just listen to some of these stats. 3 walks. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players, 7 players with 2 walks. A couple others have drawn a solo walk. And while the strikeouts are becoming a problem, I mean, this is a really interesting team, Taven. Like, the batting averages are not there. The walk to strikeout ratio is kind of there, especially right there with some of these guys, Yankee Baptiste being the main one. He did not have a hit, though, in 5 at-bats. So, again, something else to scratch your head about, but did draw 3 walks. Ryan Cesarini has been a big part, even though he's only 1 for 10. If you want to talk about some batting leaders, it's kind of hard to pick one of them out right now, because of the guys that played in all 3 games, none of them are really performing that great. However, Tommy Hawk is performing pretty well. 2 for 7, 4 runs scored. He's drawn 2 walks and has stolen 2 bases so far. And then when you move on over to the pitching side, like you said, Rafe Schlesinger did not start a game, but did come in, pitch 3 relief innings. He was absolutely fantastic in that regards. Again, 3 innings pitched, 2 hits, while striking out 4. So, yeah. I realize that my camera on stream is frozen, so I apologize for that. Hopefully that is going to fix itself here pretty soon. If not, we'll do something to try to make it fix itself. But yeah, Taven, like you said, Rafe Schlesinger was very impressive. Braylon Doty, again, while the ERA was not there, he did strike out 6. So the strikeouts were there. 6 of the 9 outs he recorded were strikeouts. So that's pretty good for him. All in all, not too bad, Taven, but I think it's really clear to tell that this is the Hillcat team that's got a long way to go and can greatly, greatly improve.
Yeah, I mean, I think we touched on it before the season. I mean, there wasn't, really going to be a standout guy down there like a Churio, perhaps. But I mean, that's what they're going to be about all year. It's going to be, can these role players, fit in? Can they just get on base? And I think they're going to be a small ball team this year. I think everybody's going to have to pitch in. There's not going to be one guy that kind of stands out on that roster. And you saw it in the last 2 games. I mean, there were guys doing little things, forcing walks, getting hits when it matters. Bennett Thompson stepping up in a big role. And I mean, that's a big part of why they won the series against Fayetteville? Was that it?
Yes, Fayetteville. Yep.
Fayetteville. Yep. And that's why they're 2-1. So.
Yeah, and exactly your point. Again, we kind of figured this was not going to be a star-ridden team. There aren't super loads of highly regarded, talented prospects here, but there are, as we said before the season, some underrated bats, some underrated arms, and I think we're kind of seeing that, but they got to wake up a little bit here, Taven. Anything to speak of about the Hillcats?
That's all I got on them. Yep.
Yeah, that's all I got on them too. Moving on to Lake County when we flip over to the schedule here. So Lake County also did have a very, very successful opening series. Of course, they started on the road there as well. And it did start out to be a pretty good series for Lake County. They won 8-1 in the first game. Again, they had a 3-game series with Great Lakes. And Taven, this Lake County team, I think, is going to have the opportunity for some big run innings because we saw that twice over the weekend. They had 6 runs in the 7th inning on Friday, and then I think they had 7 runs in the 8th on Sunday. So, again, this is a team that is absolutely capable of ripping off a ton of runs, but they win 8-1 in game 1. They lose game 2 by a score of 6-1. Dylan DeLucia, not his best performance at all. The bullpen, though, were able to shut out the Loons the rest of the way. And then on Sunday, 13-2, and I did have that right, a 7-run 8th inning, Mr. McCauley.
Yeah, I mean, I think you put it perfect. Lake County, they got a little like Lynchburg, but they have a few bigger names. You have Ralphie Velasquez, Jason Churio, but I think it's really going to rely on, those the more, so-called role players in that lineup, and that's what you got. And I think that the ceiling for this Lake County team is what you saw on Sunday, 13 runs in, a big 11-run win. And I think that's obviously what their strength's going to be. They called them Rate County at the beginning of last year. I think that's going to have to carry on this year. As you do have pitching, I think the bats are going to take a lot of pressure off that pitching, as I think the offensive side of Lake County has a little more upside than, the pitching might be, because I think a lot of that's up, double A, triple A. But I do think this Lake County team can be very, very solid this year.
They did not homer until the last game of the series, by the way, and they ripped off 4 of them. And they did all come, or I should say, one came from the likes of Kevin Rivas. He did hit one in the 2nd, but then the other 3 came in the 7th inning or later, 2 of them in that big 8th inning. Jonah Advincula, Jose Devers, Kevin Rivas, and Ralphie Velasquez were your home run hitters over the weekend. Taven, I think that's something we're going to try to do this year. We'll announce home run hitters as they happen. Obviously, there were none to announce for Lynchburg, but we have 4 for Lake County. So there you go. Those 4 guys, again, Advincula, Devers, Rivas, and Velasquez of the captains. Juan Benjamin off to a really good start. Esteban Gonzalez off to a good start. But again, Taven, like Lynchburg, there's not really the guy that has played all 3 games that is hitting everywhere quite yet. No one has more than 3 runs scored. No one has more than 3 hits on the team. And the 2 guys that do have 3 hits only played in 2 out of the 3 games this past weekend. But like Lynchburg, walk to strikeouts ratios are there. RBIs batting it around everywhere. And when you move on to the pitching side, obviously was not the best outing for Dylan DeLucia. Came away with a 12 ERA, 4 earned runs in 3 innings. Yikes. That is definitely not where you want to be. Jackson Humphreys, though, when his game started, only 1 earned run on 1 hit. It was a solo homer, 6 strikeouts in 3 innings. Pretty solid day for him. But again, Taven, you're going to start to see a lot of low inning performances at the beginning of minor league seasons because of something that I want to get into a little bit later, in which the organization has a pitch count limit. And so that's definitely a reason that You're seeing some pretty low inning counts, some pretty low pitch counts. The guy that went the farthest amount of innings for Lake County this week was Adam Tulloch, and he didn't even start. He came out of the pen and pitched 3 1/3.
Wow.
So your thoughts on the pitching there, sir?
Pitching, yeah. I mean, it was dominant. To open it up, you had Wilkinson do Wilkinson things. 3 innings, 5 strikeouts, gave up a run. It was not earned and only 3 hits. Then the bullpen comes in, does their thing, no runs, shutout, and that's how that happens. DeLucia, a little bit of a shaky start. 3 innings, he gives up 4 runs. 2 home runs. Do I think he bounces back? 100%. Love everything DeLucia's about. Loved him last year in the playoff series. And again, you can't read into, anybody's performance at this. From
right.
Akron to Lynchburg. It's been 3 games, but still. Kennedy didn't do great out of the pen as well, but then you go to that third day, like you said, and Humphreys, kind of really reels it back in for him. 6 strikeouts in 3 innings. He only gives up a run. So bullpen does their thing, only gives up 1 run the rest of the way. So I think Lake County's in a very, very good spot defensively and offensively.
We will move on to the Akron Rubber Ducks, and Taven, we both need to get mini brooms because they pulled out the sweep. They got the sweep of the Richmond Flying Squirrels, the only team to still be undefeated in the Guardians minor league system. And Taven, just before we dive on into this team, I'm sure we will talk a lot about them here once we're done recapping what all of the minor league teams did. As currently constructed, this Akron team is loaded.
It's nuts. Yeah, I watched all 3 games, and Akron, their biggest problem last year was they couldn't hit. I probably watched 150 out of 170 Rubber Ducks games last year, or how many they play, or no, 130 out of 150. Yeah, that number sounds more right. Their biggest problem was they couldn't hit. And what did they do this year? It came out the gate on fire. First game, second game, and they go down 4-0 in, game 3 on Sunday, and they come back just like that. And, Rubber Ducks fashion, it seems like that's going to be kind of the saying this year, and they put up 5 and they get the win. So this is, yeah, like you put it exactly. And we'll touch on, individual performances and such too, but this team's going to be insane.
I was going to say all 3 starters ended up getting the win, but that is not correct. So I will tell you who did get wins. Tommy May started game 1. He got the win in a 7-4 Rubber Ducks win, 8-3 in game 2. The Ducks score 6 in the first third, and the Flying Squirrels just couldn't catch up from there. And then again, as you said, Taven, in game 3, they were down 4-0, came back with 2 runs in the 6th, 3 runs in the 7th off some big time hitting. First save of the year goes to Magnus Ellerts, and it was Trenton Denholm, I believe, that ended up getting that win. And again, the Ducks pitching, Davis Sharp had a rough first outing. Aaron Davenport had a rough first outing. I know your guy. But we talked about some of these lower inning counts. Again, you didn't really see that here with Akron. Tommy Mason, the first opening day, went 5 innings, an absolutely masterful performance from him. I do want to see that walk to strikeout ratio get better for him, though. That's always been my thing with him. Trenton Denholm didn't even start, and he went 4 innings pitched. Probably was pitcher of the week for the Ducks. No walks, 5 strikeouts, 4 hits, only 1 earned run. And then Austin Peterson, he pitched himself quite the gem too as well. The kid that loves to pitch with pace. Sean Rapp struggled a little bit too in his first Rubber Ducks outing as well. But for the most part, so that's the hitting side. I know we usually start with the hitting side. We need to save it for right now because Jorge Burgos, we'll talk about him later, so we can save it for then. But 3 out of his 4 hits were home runs, and the other home run came from Travis Bazana, and he looks like the number 1 overall pick. Taven, I'm going to save his slash line for a little bit later, or should I read it right now?
Go ahead, read it right now. It's pretty insane.
So average on-base slugging are the 3 numbers that I am about to read. 538 average, 600 on-base percentage, 846 slugging, and a 1.446 OPS. We'll reset my camera again because it's frozen.
Crazy. That he's obviously living up to his potential already. 538, like you said. He goes in the box, seven hits in his 13 at bats that he's already had. Sip a cup of coffee, but again, like a home run. I mean, the stats go on and on and on about this guy, and then top it off with the rest of the lineup doing, I mean, wonders for him as well. CJ Kafis, just in game 2, he gets 2 RBIs. Burgos, 3 home runs in 3 games. I mean, the list goes on and on. Guys getting on, Turner, Mooney, Lampy getting on base, and that drives in more run. I mean, there's just so much that can be said about what this Akron lineup has done already, and we're only 3 games in.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about it more later there, absolutely for sure. But I mean, we listed off Travis Bazzana's batting average. How about the guy of CJ Kafis, a guy that we both love, 462 batting average for him. He's got a 1.225 OPS. Jorge Burgos with the 3 homers has a 1.554 OPS and just an insane 1.154 slugging. I know it's only 3 games, people, but come on, these are some really, really fun numbers to read. You have 4 guys on this team that have at least 4 hits, 5 if you extend that to 3. That includes Cooper Ingle, who also, I mean, Taven, there probably was not one guy here that had a bad series apart from 2. Guy Lipscomb and Alex Mooney really did struggle to open up the season. But other than those 2, masterful. And Jake Fox too. But so I should say, other than those 3, masterful.
Yeah, the only other guy, I mean, pitching side is Davenport, strictly because we know what he's about. Obviously, he's not gonna do that the rest of the way. I have no doubt he'll be back next outing. But yeah, aside from those 4 guys, everybody was on absolute fire. I mean, even like guys like Dion Frias last year, who was, kind of floated around the 200 range. He's hitting, again, 19 at bats, but he's hitting 368 and a 1.004 OPS. I mean, 2 RBIs just goes to show what everybody's doing in the lineup. Everybody is absolutely raking. Pitchers had great performances all the way around, with the exception of probably, I would say, Sharp and, Davenport, like I said. But no doubt those guys will be back, and Akron's going to be a unit this year.
We move on now to our first 6-game series of the year. Again, if you are new to the minor leagues, it is Mondays are off days. No games on Monday, and then you play 6-game series the entire week because of opening day. There are only 3-game series this opening weekend for the other 3 teams. Columbus did that last week. And they got 2 of 3 from the Toledo Mud Hens. Now they play the St. Paul Saints, and St. Paul did not allow a run for a long, long while. They shut out Columbus in game 1, 5-0, and didn't allow Columbus to score a single run until the 8th inning of game 2. And that was the first run that St. Paul had allowed all season, Taven, but Columbus gets 2 in the bottom of the 8th. A lot of hits, a lot of runners left stranded in that game, but Columbus able to get it done for the first win in the series. And then they became a wagon with some rain and stuff in the forecast. They did have the game on Thursday get postponed, so they did play a doubleheader on Friday, to which they swept 3 runs in the bottom of the 7th to win game number 1 of the doubleheader. I do not remember who the walk-off was. I'm going to fact check that right now, but then it was Will Wilson. Thank you. I think it was a Will Wilson double off the wall. And we'll talk about the series that he had here a little bit later. But then the Clippers came right back, absolutely dominated game 2. They posted the final in 6 because I think more rain came, and then the run rule was there as well, which usually isn't a thing for minor leagues. But 11-1 in game 2 on the doubleheader on Friday. Saturday's game got postponed. They're going to make it up late April when they play again. That's on April 29th. And then on Sunday, a walk-off from Will Brennan. So, hey, the Ducks were the walk-off team within the Guardians minor league system last year. Maybe it's the Clippers this year. Will Wilson and Will Brennan, both with walk-offs. So the 2 Chill Wills ended up getting some walk-offs. And speaking of home run hitters this week, Will Wilson with 2 and Dom Nunez with 1.
Yeah. I think you put it perfectly. I think Columbus did a great job for what they had to deal with. 2 rain delays. You had a doubleheader in there. So very hectic week for them this week. And, they got it done in very, very close games. Every game was pretty close besides I think the one game where Columbus put up 11, that was kind of the only blowout there. But the rest of the games are pretty close. So I think they did very, very well for what they were dealt. You had guys stepping up like Dom Nunez and Will Wilson, guys who, we really weren't really sure of what we'd see out of them this year. And then you had your veteran guys like Will Brennan step up, do what he should be doing, in Columbus. And I think, we'll see him with the big league club in a short amount of time, I think. But, everybody chipping in. Columbus comes out with the wins.
And I'm going to pull up the schedule here so I have all of the numbers in front of me just for the Clippers. But I think, too, when you go back and look at it, I don't think they allowed more than just a few runs. Yeah, I mean, their highest run total allowed was 5 in that loss on Tuesday. They allowed nothing in game 2. They allowed 2 in game 3, 1 in game 4. Game 5 got rained out, and then they allowed 2 in game 6. So now let's talk about the pitching staff here for this Columbus team, because we'll reset the camera again. Again, just go with the technology issues. You have to deal with them if we have to deal with them. Doug Nikhazy has been fantastic throughout the first 2 games. Ryan Webb pitched himself a really good outing last week as well. Yep. I got to filter by last 7 days here. Ryan Webb pitched really well. Colby Allard pitched really well in his start. Parker Messick, his AAA debut, didn't allow a single thing. He was absolutely phenomenal. Vince Velasquez did struggle. Will Dion did make a start, only went 2/3 innings though, because he really, really struggled, and they pulled him stupidly early in one of the games here. But again, that's getting up to the pitch count. It was a pitch count within the inning sort of thing there as well. And then out of the pen, Zach Kent makes a couple appearances, 3 innings of shutdown baseball. Andrew Walters, rehabbing in Columbus, has looked masterful in 2 2/3 innings. Got to get the walks down though. But overall, Taven, I mean, again, you could just look up and down this pitching standpoint. Even your not so favorite guy, Jack Leftwich, is starting to pitch well.
Yeah, I hope he somehow continues that up there. But yeah, like you said, everybody on this team contributed. Webb, he did Webb things. Nikhazy, he was, I know a lot of people said he had a shaking spring training, but he's back for sure with Columbus. Bradley Hanner does Bradley Hanner things. He gets the win. He's 2-0 on the year, and just the list goes on and on. Like you said, Webb, especially in their last game, he comes out of the in a bullpen role. Doesn't even start. 4 innings out of the pen, gives you 5 strikeouts. And then Mikhailovic, 1 2/3 innings pitched, 2 strikeouts, gets the win. Kind of shuts down that game on Sunday for the win. Pitching up to bottom or top to bottom, starters, bullpen, everybody's contributing in a big way.
Yeah, the ERAs on this team look really, really good. And again, we didn't even mention some of the names that we had seen there as well. Mason Hickman, he's really struggled lately, but pretty much anyone besides him, and Zach Jacobs, but he's only been there for 1 outing. Again, pretty much anyone but those 2 guys pitching well. Bradley Hanner, I know, didn't have the best start to the season, but this past weekend allowed nothing at all. Will Dion, again, struggled a little bit, but the ERA is still at 0 because the 2 runs he did allow were both unearned. Columbus takes 4 of 5 from St. Paul. They move to 6-2 on the season. And when I check the standings early, that puts them atop of the International League West. The next team closest to them is Memphis, which is the St. Louis AAA team. They are 5-2. We're going to be seeing a lot of rain delays early on here. That's about all I got on Columbus for right now.
Yep, same here.
Well, in terms of cutting this thing up for segments, we have no Players of the Week to announce. The MILB does release Player of the Week honors, and no one from the Guardians minor league organization won one, which is absolutely crazy considering what we're about to talk about, Taven. But let's do a new segment on the show. And again, we're going to be uploading clips and editing stuff. So again, we're going to try to get the show a lot more segmented. Taven, what is your headline of the week?
Got to be Jorge Burgos. I mean, dude is absolutely insane. 3 home runs in 3 games. I mean, come on. That's got to be the biggest part of not just the Rubber Ducks weekend, but I think, yeah, I'd include even the Guardians. I think the entire Guardians minor league system and even the big league club. I think it's Jorge Burgos. I mean, 3 home runs, three games. Come on.
I would absolutely have to agree with you, but on the point of just being different, I'm going to go with walk-off Columbus. Akron was the team that walked off a ton of games last year at home, and it seems like this year it's going to be Columbus, the Will walk-offs. That's my headline. I'm writing it. Again, Will Brennan and Will Wilson got the 2 walk-offs this past weekend for Columbus. Again, I would agree Burgos has been the biggest storyline, but for me being different in the minor league organizations, I'll go with walk-off Wills.
So I would say for Cleveland, R2 definitely, but if we're looking at MLB grand scape of things and Cleveland, it's got to be Bazzana's hot start as well. I mean, we kind of
yes,
definitely have to include that in there.
That's actually our next segment. So we'll break it off here, and new clip starting now. Travis Bazzana. Taven, we have to talk about him. We have to.
Absolute fire. I mean, the dude, he comes out of the gate. Do
I have to read this last line again?
Yeah, I would. Go ahead.
Okay. 538 average, 600 on base percentage, 846 slugging, and a 1.446 OPS. We know it's only through 3 games, but Taven, he's shown me nothing to believe that he can't keep this up.
100%. I mean, you weren't expecting that from him, especially in the first 3 games. But what's he do? He goes out there, goes 7 for 13 in the box, just off hits a home run. I mean, gets walks, everything. One of the, if not the greatest, start to a Double-A career that I've ever seen, and it comes from your number 1 prospect, a guy who you're going to be banking on, and a lot like, me and you were talking off the pod. Questions start, and I know we're only through 3 games, but the question starts to come up of, all right, when do we kind of move this guy up? Because if he's hitting 5, what'd you say, 38 or something along those lines, it's his days are numbered in Akron. They really are.
Yeah, and I mean, we were texting while all the minor league games were going on, and we just kept saying, like, Bazzana, oh my goodness, like, is this dude ever going to put the bat down? And no, please, we hope not. Every prospect and every player in general are going to go through their cold spells. But for the most part, man, you got to hope Travis Bazzana keeps this up. And my opinion has changed. I thought before him getting up to the big league levels this year was probably going to be a little bit of a stretch. Right now, I have to say it's looking like an almost certainty that he's up there by at least July.
Yeah, 100%. If he keeps this up, and not to say that it's the Guardians' bats that are really struggling, that's not leading to their success, but especially if a guy like Arias and Schneemann start to slip at that second base spot, I think it's very, 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 very possible that we could see Bazzana up there. Especially, I think before the All-Star break's a stretch, but maybe a week after or 2 weeks after, if they're competing, I think it's a real possibility.
Yeah, I mean, the problems with Cleveland right now, we can probably touch on in a later segment. But when you talk about Travis Bazzana, I mean, this is the guy that breathes fast learner. He breathes the game of baseball. He wants to improve. He wants to get up to the highest level he possibly can. I mean, I'm just still looking at these numbers, Taven. Like, I am in awe.
It's nuts. It's crazy.
I do want to see what the difference is between him facing left-handed pitchers and him facing right-handed pitchers, though. I'm going to be very curious to look at that. So actually, funny enough, when Travis Bazzana has faced a left-handed pitcher, he does not have a hit. He's 0 for 3. Wow. So that means when you discount all of those at-bats against right-handed hitters, Travis Bazzana is hitting 700.
Crazy.
So when you have a righty pitcher,
he was on Cycle Watch, I believe, Saturday as well. So
I believe you're correct.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
I
was a
believe
triple
you're
shy.
correct. Yeah. Okay. What game was that on Thursday?
Saturday.
Saturday. Because didn't he have like a
Yep.
4-hit performance or something crazy?
Yep, he started off with a double, then hit a single, and then the home run, and then he was on cycle watch with all he need be was a triple.
Yeah, 4 hits and 5 at-bats, 4 runs. And I mean, sir, he's even got the walk to strikeout ratio
Oh
kind
yeah.
of there. 4 strikeouts, 2 walks. I mean, that's not terrible, but in a team in Akron overall that's tried to steal a couple bases already and has not been too successful, Bazana's got 2 stolen bases while Lampy's been caught stealing once, Guy Lipscomb's been caught twice, and your only other stolen bases come from Diane Frias. The Travis Bazan is doing everything for this team and didn't even flash the leather this past series as well. Couple good
Yeah.
defensive plays.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Just crazy. In that one game alone where he was on cycle watch, his OPS was over 2.0.
Insane. Can't ask
What
for
else
more
do
out
you,
of your number one pick.
what else do you want to say about the guy? I don't think we can say enough, but also at the same time, there really isn't much more to say. He's just a
Yeah.
stud.
Pretty much. I mean, you look at what just happened over this past weekend, you're kind of speechless. It is going to be exciting to see if he can carry this over, especially in a 6-game series, which might be a little, obviously it's going to be different this season, but he did it last year. He's obviously going to do it again from the looks of things. So it should be interesting to see how he can, continue this going forward.
Ethan, I saw you in the chat earlier, and I am proposing the question to Taven here too. We know it's a small sample size. We know it's a cup of coffee. It's nothing to absolutely rave about right now. But Taven, we're clearly raving about this kid because we know the potential that he has, and seeing him
Yep.
start like this, the sky's the limit. However, are we overreacting a little bit? And do we want to see Travis Bazana maybe see what this 6-game series unfolds like for him?
Personally, I'm gonna say yes and no. I think 3 games for anybody, good or bad. I think that's a little bit of an overreaction if you're gonna put, kind of all your chips into that one opinion. I think you obviously got to give it to at least the end of the month, with it being baseball, to have a full opinion on a guy. But if again, but at the same time, you can't discount anything that he's done in those 3 games. I mean, he put up, one of the best series that you could have asked for. He goes 7 for 13. I mean, OPS, like we've shown the slash line, but I wouldn't buy too much into it yet. But again, you can't also discount what you've seen. So
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Cut the clip. We'll move on forward. Talk about some of the other hitters that impressed us this week. Taven, let's stay with Akron because you mentioned Jorge Burgos on fire. 9
oh yeah,
RBIs through 3 games. I mean, come on, stop it. And then CJ Kafis is doing CJ Kafis things. 6 hits, 2
again,
runs,
yep.
a double, a triple. All he's missing is the home run right now. 4 RBIs, walk to strikeout ratio is there. His slash line is very good as well. I mean, Taven, we're going to do this a little bit later, but since we're on the topic, let's start with Akron. Because of the bats, how high of a ceiling is this team's offense?
I think it's really high. Everybody's pitching in, everybody's doing stuff, and especially if you're going to get the production you're going to get out of guys like Frias and even Burgos stepping up. They weren't supposed to be your all-star caliber players. Your guys were supposed to be Bazana, Engel, Kafis you lean on, and if one of the other guys step up here and there, that's I mean, amazing. But teams, once Bazana gets rolling and Engel and Kafis, it kind of opens the door, like with the magnitude that they are, it really opens the door for guys like Frias and Burgos, and it takes a weight off the shoulders of guys like Bazana and Engel. So I think everybody, thrives on that. And especially a guy like, I can't, rave enough about Frias. I mean, Frias hit 210 last year, loved everything he was about, but the bat was never there. This year he comes out and he's a totally different guy. I mean, he hits, I want to say he's at 368. I mean, just 19 at bats, but from what we saw last year and this year, dude was great in the field last year, still is this year. bat wasn't so much there yet. This year, I really think it is. And I think that's going to be a case with a lot of these guys. I think Lipscomb's going to make a jump. I think Lampy's going to be really dominant. And obviously, they see some power out of him. He's hitting the 4-hole, I want to say 2 out of the 3 games. It just opens the door for all these guys. So I think 1 through 9, this team's as talented as, even some AAA teams, if, you really want to get into it.
I would agree with you. Before we dive on into more questionnaires and hypotheticals and other things of the nature, let's talk some transactions, shall we?
Yeah.
We do already have quite a bit of injuries to go on with the Akron Rubber Ducks. Angel Yanao, which is going to be a huge blow to this team, but we knew he was going to be on the 7-day IL already. I don't think played in that series against Richmond. But he is on the 7-day IL. Alaska Abney, the Frisbee slider, is on the 7-day IL. Same thing with Matt Jacek. I probably butchered that last name, so my apologies. Jacek, however you pronounce it. He's on the 7-day IL, as well as Tyler Thornton. And then outfielder Khalil Watson has yet to be placed on the injured list, but as of this past weekend, he was still rehabbing back in Goodyear. That is all according to Guardians Prospective. And more from Guardians Prospective. Mike Capriz, Yordis Valdez are currently scheduled to be activated from AAA Columbus in time for the beginning of their next homestand on April 15th. And then some more transactions and things as well. There was one other thing here. Here we go. So here's more transactional things. Again, Jack Leftwich is on the 7-day IL at Columbus. Mason Hickman has been reinstated from the development list. He is in Columbus. Alonzo Richardson has been assigned to Columbus from Lake County, so moving up 2 levels there. And then Carter Spivey has been assigned to Akron from the Columbus Clippers. Anything to make of those transactions?
Yeah, obviously sucks. You got a lot of injuries, and I don't even want to know what this Akron lineup would look with Hanau in it. Which we're gonna see that in a couple weeks. Which that's like, you add another all-star to what is an all-star team essentially in AA from what we've seen already. So that's gonna be insane. But the only other thing is just a lot of injuries all over the place. Obviously it sucks that Abney can't be in that bullpen with Akron. He's one of the I think the better arms in all of the minor leagues. He was absolutely insane last year with Akron. So that obviously sucks. And then, injuries around the, Cleveland obviously is going to happen. It sucks that, there's this magnitude of them early in the season, but no, nothing severe. These guys will be back, 7-day IR. So.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. Okay. We will move on here. I have really nothing else, although very interested in Alonzo Richardson making that jump from Lake County all the way up to Columbus. Richardson did not pitch in the last series. I do not have stats from him up, so I don't think he's made an appearance yet. I am going to check the Clippers stat line just to see if he has appeared there yet, and obviously not because he just got up there. So we'll get to see what Richardson is all about when he makes that big, massive jump. So that's going to be absolutely huge. Interesting, too, that he didn't move from Lake County to Akron, considering all the injuries the Rubber Ducks have there. Just my take on it. But again, we know what Alonzo Richardson is about, a guy that we don't really talk about often, but a guy that we know, Taven, has some good stuff.
Yeah. Obviously, I think it's a move, related to injuries. I think both teams have their fair share, but you also saw that with Jaime Arias. Want to say 2 years ago, where they just kept Lake County, Columbus, and he just kind of ran around the place as, an injury reserve type of guy. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, let's dive on into Taven, how good we think these teams can be. We all know that I think all 4 of these minor league teams have playoff potential because we saw that out of the top 3, and then Lynchburg was fighting for the spot in Taven. Again, the stats aren't there, but they're pulling out wins. They're going to be able to make things really close and competitive in a lot of baseball games this year. But I don't really know. How do you want to do this? I think we should go through and talk about maybe a strength, maybe a weakness, how good we think teams can be. How do you really want to do this?
Yeah, I think strength, weakness, and then, where they could place and, first half, second half type of where do you think they have the best odds of winning?
Again, it's very early. We are judging our opinion based off of early returns as well as what we know teams are going to be able to provide, maybe with a healthy roster, maybe when some guys are playing a little bit better, things of that nature. So, again, we'll start from the bottom up. Taven, we'll go with Lynchburg. Thing that has impressed you so far about the Hillcats? To me, it's been pitching, especially out of that pen.
Yeah, like you said, I think young pitching's kind of the strength of that team. You saw Schlesinger go in. And, if you can get big innings out of guys, especially out of that bullpen, I think that's going to be, the biggest strength that Lynchburg has this season.
And then concern as of right now, Taven, it has to be the hitting, even though they're drawing walks, they're getting on base, they're getting runs across the plate somehow. 4 of those, by the way, did come from Tommy Hawk. This is a Lynchburg team that, well, the bats got to wake up again, right? As far as guys that played all 3 games, of which there were only 4 of them, the highest batting average amongst those 4 is 286, and it's Tommy Hawk, but he only had 7 at bats, 2 hits and 4 runs. So, but again, hitting, how big of a concern is it really, Taven? Probably not that big, because Ryan Cesarini is a high upside bat. Yankee Baptiste is a high upside bat. Welvin Francisca, same thing. Same thing with Tommy Hawk. Luis Morejo, Bennett Thompson. A lot of high upside bats here. They just got to get it rolling.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, they again amounted for a solid amount of runs, but if you look at the box score, nobody really jumped out. Would like to see the bats really get rolling in Lynchburg, and if they do, I think they're going to be a dangerous threat to a playoff spot.
Let's move up the ladder here to Lake County. Taven, strength.
Strength for Lake County. Again, I'm going to stick with what I've said. I think the role players are going to have to come in big. I think Advicula is going to have to make a big jump this season amongst a lot of other guys. Obviously you have Tugboat, who's not going to be there for long, but you have him at the moment. You have Ralphie Velasquez. You have Jason Churio. Your all-stars are going to do all-star things. But you only have about 3 or 4 of those guys this year instead of last year's Lake County team where you may have had 6 or 7. So I think this year it's going to be all about the role players. How can they fit in? And at the moment, it's can the starting pitching kind of carry the weight as well. You saw DeLucia struggle a little bit, but if they can bounce back, I think they're going to be a really, really dangerous threat.
I'm gonna go with the presence in the box. I was trying to figure out how I wanted to say that, but it's not just from one guy. Like we talked about Bazana over in Akron. Again, it's not just one guy that's having good at-bats and drawing walks, getting on base. No, it's been everyone. I mean, Advincula's got 3 walks. Devers has 3 walks. Ralphie Velasquez in 10 at-bats, 5 walks. 4 walks for Jacob Cozart, a pair of walks to Antunes, Benjamin, and Jason Churio. And then everyone's hitting. I mean, sure, no one's absolutely blowing the doors off of things yet, but all but one guy that played for Lake County over the weekend has a hit. And the only guy that doesn't is the backup catcher in Johnny Tincher. This is a very, very good plate appearance team. One weakness, maybe I'd have to say, I don't really know if there's one glaring thing quite yet. Again, it's really hard to tell after 3 games. Yeah. Maybe you can be more nitpicky than I can. I mean, is it the fact that they don't have stars? Or is that going to be their criticism? Because if that's the case, again, I feel like that's a little unfair.
I mean, they have 2 of the top 5 organization prospects, and Velasquez and Churio.
True.
So they have stars. If I had to pick out one thing, if I really had a nitpick, it would be DeLucia's performance, just because I know what he can be, and I think he can be a heck of a 2. But again, it's one game. I'm not reading anything into that, so
for sure,
that's just if I really, really had to pick something. But at the moment, I don't see anything wrong with Lake County. I think DeLucia will be back to what he's used to doing. So,
well, Akron will. I can't talk, I guess. Well, Akron's is pretty easy because it's the lineup. It's the lineup.
That's it.
And we've already talked about it. We don't have to say anything else. But we'll say more names. Burgos, Bazana, Frias, Ingles gonna get it going. And even saying that, he hit 333. He's
Right.
just not
Yeah.
living up to some of the percentages and performances everyone else is. Same thing with Frias. But Kafis, we know Lampy's gonna get back up there. We know Guy Lipscomb is gonna get a hit at some point. Tyrese Turner, whenever he plays, will get it going. Alex Mooney will get it going. Kyle Dernetti, an organization signing. He only played one game. He got his first professional hit. That was his first professional game, period, and he delivered. He went 1-for-4. So and even that backup catcher in Barstad, who I know very, very little about, everyone's performing well. You have bona fide studs on this team. What more can we say about this Akron lineup? And then as far as weakness, I mean, some of the guys here have really struggled again. Davenport got rocked, but Davis Sharp with a 20.25 ERA, allowing 3 runs over 4 outs. That's a little sketchy. But then other than that, just all the injuries that are being racked up for Akron is definitely concerning for the Ducks.
Yeah, strength. I mean, obviously, there's nobody's going to have a complaint about that. It's the lineup. No doubt about it. I think I'm going to put it on par with the 2021 Ducks lineup that we saw, the one that won the championship. And obviously, that's a pretty good comparison. That's a team that had Valera, Rocchio, Will Brennan, Bo Naylor, guys of that nature when they were obviously won the championship. So I'm going to put it up there. Again, only 3 games, but at the moment, from what we've saw, it's got to be up there. And then the only kind of downfall / weakness that I kind of see with this team is kind of like you said, big thing with the injuries and then pitching. I don't think pitching's that, obviously we're 3 games in, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. Davenport, he'll be back. Davis Sharp, I think he'll be back. Couple rough outings, especially on the road to open up the year. But I think those guys will be back to normal. And I mean, Akron, they're going to be a unit, like we've said constantly. I mean, there's so, like you said it perfectly. There's so much to say, but we've kind of already said everything.
And then you dive on in and you talk about, I don't know where my camera just went a little bit ago. I promise I didn't touch it that time. I know I've been resetting a lot, but I didn't touch it that time. So when we talk about Columbus, to me, I think a strength of the team is just the heart and the fight that they have. And really, you don't know who's going to show up. Because again, the 2 Wills had walk-offs. How about the Rule 5 draft pick, Will Wilson? He's performing really well. And if Cleveland continues to struggle with some of these infield bats, which actually I don't even think is the problem, but we'll talk a little guard ball later. Will Wilson's playing well. Will Brennan is hitting really well. Christian Kyra, welcome back to the organization. He's been a bona fide stud. Petey Halpin starting to figure it out. Angel Martinez has hit well. We know Milan Tolentino's going to get it rolling. We've seen moments where Cody Huff and Dom Nunez have been in the lineup at the same time, which I can't just tell you how many times the commentator, I forget his name, I'm so sorry, was saying, oh, it's really scary when you have both catchers in the lineup. Like, we know. Yeah. And then even a guy like Kyle Datrice has come in and hit. Like,
yeah.
This is a Clippers team that, again, it has a lot of really good players, and I just love the heart and the fight from this team. The walk-offs show that. Some of the gutsy performances show that. They do need to get runners home a lot more often. I think they left the bases loaded twice in that 2-0 win. And as far as pitching goes for this team, early returns, apart from a couple guys, look pretty good. Zach Jacobs, we'll see what he can provide. Vince Velasquez, again, we'll see what he can provide. Bradley Hanner's pitched well. Mason Hickman, he's really got to rebound. Doug Nikhazy continues to do great things. Same thing with Ryan Webb. Can you find anything to complain about with the Clippers right now? I mean, again, leaving runners on base is never fun. That's a Guardian problem too.
I really can't.
It's kind of hard to right now, considering, again, we're only 3 games in, and the combined record of all of our affiliates is 13-4.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Well, again, so the combined record of all of the affiliates right now is 13-4. As a win percentage, do the quick math on that. You take 13 divided by total game 17. Win percentage at 765 for the entire organization just in the minor leagues. We're not counting the big league club in that win percentage.
Yeah, that's obviously. I wish somebody's got to have a stat on that, but that's probably number one organization as a whole, I would say, in the minors.
I
had
will
to take
check
a
Guardian's
guess?
prospective because he put it. If I had to take a guess, that's probably the top mark.
I would
If I had
say.
to take just a pure sheer guess, I think that's definitely the top mark. So we do have a couple injury updates. We said a couple of those already. Jahek, again, I've probably said it 3 or 4 different times this way. We'll figure out how to pronounce it, we promise. He's looking to make a return in late April, while Hanau is going to be out until late April or early May. So the Ducks will not be with him for most of this month, if the entire month. But again, once he comes back, barring the team is still pretty much together, which is the next thing we're going to talk about, Hanau is going to make a big difference to that lineup. Okay, Taven, we've talked about how good the Rubber Ducks have been and how good their lineup has been. Now the question remains, how long is it going to last?
I think it lasts as long as, Cleveland wants it to. And I kind of say that with it being, I don't think any of these guys are going to slow down. Obviously, Bazana's not going to hit 538 with his time in Akron. But I think he hangs around that 290 mark, maybe 310 around there. I think all those guys kind of do. I think Kafis, Engel, all those guys stay hot. I think it ends when Cleveland wants it to end. I think once Bazana goes, then it's going to slow down. Then I think Kafis is the next guy after that, and then Engel. So that's why I think I've hammered it home. It's obviously very, 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 very important for Akron to win this first half just to get in the playoffs, because after that first half, maybe even a little before, this team's not going to, especially that infield, it's not going to look anything how it does in the first half.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. It's going to last kind of how long the Guardians want it to. But if you're asking me just point blank, no hypotheticals, no skirting around an answer, I just don't think it's going to last very long. But there's a part of me that's thinking it's going to last until about July, because racking through my brain, barring any sort of catastrophic injuries, and it's just based on performance and who you bring up and who you bring down, where are spots for those guys?
Columbus, arguably.
Bazan is obviously going to have a spot, but
I see where you're
I just
coming
don't
from.
Really know who you're going to send down from Columbus. Obviously, you're going to give anyone a spot in the big league, but Milan Tolentino, he's been with Akron for a while. He's earned his spot. You can't just send him back down to Akron. Maybe Justin Boyd. He hasn't been stupidly spectacular, but he's an outfielder. You need that. Kyle Datries, I mean, he's been in pro ball for a while, so you can't really move him down. And Akron, or I should say Columbus, still has guys coming back from injury, such as the likes of Mike Capriz and Yordis Valdez. So maybe if Valdez isn't producing, you swap him and Bazana. If Datries doesn't perform really well, you can give him the gut punch, even though I'd prefer you don't do that. It's very interesting to start talking about the who do you bring up, who do you bring down conversation now, because obviously there's going to be some sort of movement here and there. I don't think anything earth-shattering is going to come for a little while, at least until July. July is where the earth-shattering stuff usually happens in minor leagues, because you have the draft and you're going to cut guys that just are not performing well. And you're like, sorry, but we have another guy that's better. We're going to bring him up. The case could be said with Bazana, maybe Datries or someone. But again, it's way too early to predict that. I don't want to predict anything of the sort quite yet. So it's a confusing conversation to have.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, obviously, we're still early. I could see anything, really. It's going to be how our guys going to perform, but we'll see.
And the reason that you hesitate to have conversations like that, I'll just make myself more clear, is because in the development track, it's not as simple, which some people feel like it should be. You could make that the case if you'd like, Taven, but it's not as simple as just, oh, well, he's performing well, he's not. We're going to bring him up and
Right.
send him down, which I think irritates some fans. So, say, for example, again, Christian Cairo just happens to not be doing well, or Will Wilson just happens to not be doing well, even though they're both up to fantastic starts. Let's play the hypothetical game for just one moment. If they happen to not be doing well, Bazana continues to rake. It doesn't matter. Like, Cairo's farther along in his development. Wilson's been
Yeah.
in the minor leagues for a lot longer than Travis Bazana has, and he was a Rule 5 pick. They're going to test him out. So, not saying that they're not saying the organization doesn't look at a situation like that and say, you're being sent down, Bazana, you get brought up. But it is a lot trickier than the fact of, you're playing well, you're moving up, you're not, you're moving down.
100%.
Hopefully that helps.
I would say Bazana's, again, great analogy. I would say Bazana's probably the one exception to that, just because obviously you've invested so much into that guy.
Yeah.
But I think
Right.
I think like Kafis, works perfect for that. Along the lines of like Wilson. Like, obviously Wilson's 27. He's been in the minors forever. Kafis was just drafted last year. Or last year was his first year of Pro Bowl. He was drafted in 23, but he's only 21, 22. So, you got to look at ages, how long you have guys under control as well as another factor. Rule 5 draft, bring guys up, send guys down. It all comes into play. Again, though, we are still in April, so it should be fun to see how things play out.
And also, as unfortunate as it is, Taven, we have to bring up this point, but with an organization like the Guardians that just doesn't spend as much money as some of these other clubs, they have a tendency to do the whole service time thing. So that's another aspect to where, again, it makes fans upset, rightly so. I think it makes you and I upset a time or two, if not more so as well. But you just have to look at it from the fact of, like, the guys that are more experienced should have that shot before someone that doesn't. And again, the one exception, at least that I can think of right now, maybe Kafis, maybe Engel becomes that. But in terms of, actually, I see two. Chase DeLauder, when he comes back from injury and if he can stay healthy, and Travis Bazana are the two exceptions to that rule.
100%. Yep.
And then on the pitching side of things, again, so when do we see Nikhazy make his start? Is there anyone from Akron that's going to pitch stupidly well and come up? Does Parker Messick stay with Columbus, or does he get brought back down to Akron? He didn't over this previous cycle. And again, the reason we usually do podcasts on Mondays is because that's when all the changes get made in minor leagues, because it's a day off, so they have a day to move around. Again, I don't see anything earth-shattering for a little while. But this might be a fun question to start with. Again, you said Will Brennan's going to be up in the major leagues pretty quickly here. The right field platoon, we'll start to dive in a little bit to guard ball. The right field platoon of Noel and Jones just has not been there as of yet. And even in the big leagues, it's a small sample size. You can't judge everything based off of what the 9 games the Guardians have played so far. But if DeLauder comes back and he starts to rake, and if Nikhazy keeps pitching like he is, and the rotation still needs help, and the Guardians just still cannot get that big hit through, I think you're going to see some changes, and I think they could come a lot faster than some people may be thinking. That's just my thoughts.
I think the offensive side, I'm not seeing it really there. Pitching, 1,000%. I mean, that's the reason why this club is 3-5 or I believe we're 3-5.
3-6. 3-6.
Yeah, big reason why we're 3-6 is pitching. Bibee. He looks promising.
He had the blow up start.
Yeah, and then you put him out there. Again, I think Bibee's struggle innings is 1, 2, and 6. If he can get past 1, 2, he's good until 6, and then he implodes. And I think that's what we saw against the Angels. I don't know if it was 6 or 5 where he really fell apart, but I think it was
before that. I'm pretty sure it was inning 4 where Bibee got rocked.
Nonetheless, you can't have that happen to your start or your ace.
Yeah, right.
And then Ortiz struggles, and Williams. I want to say they got the win both times he pitched, but again, not great starts out of him numbers wise. So I don't know. You need the pitching to really be back. You saw the bats; they were on fire. Jose obviously does Jose things, 3 home runs in a game.
Hard on pitch.
Quan, he's still hitting the ball well. Rokio, guys like that, but all comes down to that pitching. You don't have pitching, you're not going to win games.
And the thing about the hitting too is they're getting hits, they're getting on base, they're drawing walks. Taven, it feels like in almost every single game the Guardians have played this year, they are just one hit away from breaking that thing open, and they just haven't gotten that big hit yet. The only big hits that they've been able to get are Jose Ramirez hitting the long ball, and that was just in the one game. And then the big hit comes way too late in games when you're already too far behind, and there's no way you're going to make up the amount of offense that you need to make up. It's just not the way that Cleveland works. They thrive in tight games, but they also thrive a lot better when they're delivering the big hits. Haven't seen that out of Lane Thomas yet. Carlos Santana finally got his first homer. I think Bo Naylor hit one over the fence there as well. But really important time for the Guardians. You got the White Sox coming up at home. It's going to be freezing cold. It's going to be the most AL Central thing ever. And then after that, I think it's the Royals again. So,
yeah. AL Central is going to be it's going to be a competition. You know, everybody's not off to the best start, which is obviously is in our favor. But we have to figure it out, especially on the pitching side of things. You know, the bullpen obviously doing bullpen things. They've been great, with the exception of Clase. Shockingly, it's his name that, you know, we're throwing out. He's very up and down. I mean, he had, I think, one get outing. But
I'm not setting off the panic alarms,
but yet,
I'm starting to get mildly concerned about Clase. Because
getting there. Every show we do, it seems to climb a little higher.
So when Clase gave up that home run to Logan O'Hoppe, that was just a great at-bat from him. And pitchers are going to be forced at some time throughout at bats like that to put a pitch in a spot where they don't want to put a pitch, and that's exactly what happened to Clase. Logan O'Hoppe gave him no room on the outside of the plate, and Clase was like, crap, I just have to try to blow one by him. O'Hoppe jumped on it, he got the pitch he wanted, and he homered it. So I wasn't too concerned about that. The second run is where I was like, oh no, we have a problem.
Yeah. It's insane that I think personally it was the Yankees game that kind of did it to him. I thought he'd be back, and you've just seen him struggle ever since.
I mean, you saw it afterwards, right? He was like, he posted on his Instagram story or made an Instagram post, like him reminiscing within his trophies. It was almost like he was trying to gain some self-confidence back. Like, look at what you are. You are this. You are this. You know you're this. You're so good. You're the best closer in baseball. It's almost like he's trying to remind himself of that. And maybe it's early season fatigue. Maybe it's the lack of getting pitched in spring training, because I don't think he pitched that much. So still kind of warming up. Again, you can't get too concerned or too excited about anything in the baseball world right now. But yeah, that was it's definitely, the concern level is definitely starting to grow. It is definitely starting to grow.
1000%. Yep.
Any other thing you want to touch on within the minor league system here? Again, it's early, so we'll have a lot more to touch on as soon as we move on throughout the season. But I mean, biggest storyline was obviously the way Travis Bazzana opened up his AA campaign. Like, that was, couldn't script it better.
Right. Yeah, I think we kind of hammered everything home perfectly. You know, I think Bazzana and Burgos kind of highlights the minor league, you know, kind of week for us.
And now when we tell you who teams are going to be playing, we move from the top down. So Columbus, a 6-game set on the road against Worcester, or for phonetic purposes, Worcester. I believe Lucas Giolito will be pitching game 1.
Wow.
For, he is, again, the Boston Red Sox AAA affiliate. So they'll get to face a big league pitcher. Well, the Columbus Clippers, Will Dion will be making the start there on Tuesday. And you can check out MILB.com for the rest of the starters. The Akron Rubber Ducks, let's move down the line there. They home opener this weekend, baby. Are you going?
I am not, just because I think
Oh,
it's going to be 28 degrees and snow. So,
oh, I don't blame you on that one then.
yeah,
Don't blame you at all.
not. I mean, I love the Ducks, but I think I'm gonna have to sit that one out.
Yeah, well, hopefully the Duckies don't freeze out there.
Yeah,
Again, same sort of weather for the Guardians home opener there as well. But they are going to be going up against the Altoona Curve. They started the season 1-2. Again, Akron still undefeated, so the quest for 130, however many games they play in O, is still on. Interesting starter here, Taven. Rorik Maltrug
yeah,
will get the start for the Ducks.
yeah. That'll be interesting to see how he performs. And then Wednesday you got another kind of new starter in that Rubber Ducks rotation to round out their starting five of the year. Rodney Boone, who was in a reliever
Yeah,
role
and
last year,
that's
gets
back
the
to the
starter role
top.
this year. Yep.
Yep, and then it's back to the top with Tommy Mace, Austin Peterson, Aaron Davenport, and the list goes on. Lake County gets to face an undefeated team. West Michigan started out 3-0, but it's the Captains' home opener as well. 6-game set starts Tuesday against West Michigan on the mound for game one. Caden Favors. So we'll see how
Yeah.
Caden Favors pitch. And then you are going to go to Josh Hartle on Wednesday. And the reason I bring him up, it's going to be his organizational debut in the high A department at Lake County. And then
Yeah.
it's obviously back to the
That'd be
top with
interesting.
Matt Wilkinson and
Yeah.
such. And then you move on down to Lynchburg. They are going to play Kannapolis. They started out 1-2. Don't know who the starting pitcher for Kannapolis will be, but we do know for Lynchburg it is Jervis Alfaro. And then on Wednesday, it is going to end up being Melquise Hernandez. And then you are back to the top on Thursday with Braylon Doty. Hopefully, Doty can have a much better start. But
For
yeah,
sure.
those again finalize rotations when you think about the starters from past weeks. So again, Lynchburg, Kannapolis, Lake County, West Michigan, Akron, Altoona, and Columbus, Worcester. All affiliates are at home. Besides Columbus, they're on the road. But the bottom three in Lynchburg, Lake County, Akron, home openers are happening this week. So fun time indeed.
Yeah, real exciting. Hopefully, we can stay on top. Everybody stays above 500, and hopefully, just stay successful.
Again, Columbus is 6-2 right now. They are first place. Akron
Yep.
is 3-0. Of course, they are tied for first place. The Duckies are tied, of course, Taven, with the Erie Seawolves.
They won't go away ever. Every single year, we are tied with
Hey,
Erie.
by the way, did you see Erie's run differential in their first series?
I did not. Should I be scared?
You should be.
Oh
20
no.
runs scored, same as the Ducks, 4 runs allowed.
Great.
And they played Harrisburg.
Yeah, Harrisburg and Richmond 0-3, and then Ducks, Seawolves 3-0, and Altoona and Bowie, not the Bay Sox. They rebranded.
No, yes. So it's no longer Bowie. It's now Chesapeake, but they're still the Bay
Oh, is it?
Sox. Yeah.
Oh, Chesapeake Bay Sox. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, 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 Lake County right now, again, I do not think they are in first. They are behind West Michigan. So a big early series. Big early series for the Captains.
Yeah.
Big early series. And then you move on down to Lynchburg. They obviously started 2-1 in their standings. The Lynchburg Hillcats are 2-1. They are behind Carolina and Salem. Yeah. So Lynchburg -5. Oh, okay. All right. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. All right. Hey, before we close out the podcast here, it is always fun to talk about minor league ballpark foods. And while I haven't seen anything at Lynchburg, I haven't seen anything at Lake County, haven't seen even anything at Columbus. Have you seen some of the stuff that Akron is putting out this year? Same stuff as usual, but they added something new, and I can't wait to get back into the state and hit up Canal Park and eat my way through a Rubber Ducks win. I just can't wait.
I haven't seen anything individually. I know they've came out with some pretty insane things.
I will have to send you stuff after the podcast. Like if you have not seen some of the things that get offered at these ballparks, oh, do I feel sorry for you because there is just some immaculate stuff. Akron's got some great offerings. I'm sure Columbus, Lake County, and Lynchburg all have good food at the ballpark. But as far as I can tell, man, Akron just does it different.
Yeah. Yeah, I know they have for the past couple years, so.
Have you ever had the like teriyaki inside of a pineapple? Dude, that is so good.
I know you're big on that. I know you brought that up a few times in the press box last year.
Oh, that is so good. Yeah, I brought that up. I brought up the chicken and waffle sandwich. I brought up.
Yeah, you love the food there.
Oh, what's there bad to say?
Nothing.
I'm just a sucker for some good food. So, me and you need to split a screamer this year. That's what needs to happen. We'll live stream it, and
Is that the ice cream?
It'll be great. That is the ice cream.
Yep, we're doing it.
Oh no! Don't say that because now I'm scared. Oh, all right. Well, hour 17. What do we get up to today? I got nothing else.
Big old 37. So we're growing from last time.
We did grow from last time. Again, we with the folding of the parent company, Believeland Media, we are trying to regrow the network that we had. So please share the podcast with all your friends, all your family who all love Guardians baseball. And if they want to learn a little bit more about some of the up-and-coming stars, we apologize again for technical glitchiness and difficulties. We are working to figure all of that out as quickly as possible. But we are just merely happy that you all can live stream. And usually nothing too graphical with our podcast. We put our faces on because we look good and we want all of you fine people to see that as well. But if nothing else, pop a pair of headphones in, put the phone in your pocket, just walk around and listen to us talk some ball. Right, Taven?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Again, you can always look at Handsome 1 and Handsome 2, but just throwing that out there. But if you want to pop a pair of headphones in, hey, you're giving us a listen, and we really appreciate that. So,
100%. Yep. We'll have some clips up with Keon. Hopefully this week we'll get some graphics going on those. So more on the graphical side will be with the clips. But other than that, I mean, you got anything else, Nate?
I do not. Good first week of affiliate baseball so far. And yeah, we will keep the train on rolling, sir. So hopefully the minor league affiliates can do the exact same thing.
For sure. Well, from both of us this week, Dave McKelly, Nate Boat, we've been Prospects of the Land, and we will see everybody next week.
You can follow him at Macaulay Media. You can follow me at TailgateNate29 to see some of the other things we do within the sports media realm. And please give us a follow everywhere you want to watch your podcast, YouTube, Twitter, and we are working to develop others. Again, it's at, I believe the Twitter handle. I'm going to pull it up real fast because I don't know it off the top of my head. You can search Prospects of the Land and find us, but I want to get... it is Prospects capital OTL. That's where you can find us on Twitter. And again, YouTube, just search Prospects of the Land. Should be able to find us from that regard. So there you go. That's it.
Go Hillcats, Captains, Ducks, Clippers, Guardians.
Please, Guardians, please.
Yeah.
Have a good day, everyone. And hey, wait, before we go. National championship prediction tonight. I love Florida. I love Florida. My preseason pick was Duke. I picked, or not preseason, my pre-tournament pick. I had Duke and Auburn in the final, so I went 0 for 2 in my final 4 games. But I'm the biggest Kelvin Sampson fan tonight, so my bias will show. I'm picking the Houston Cougars. Let's go Cougs. Come on. Bring a national title to Kelvin Sampson.
Fully on one side. My tournament pick was Houston. So we're still alive.
So you're still alive.
Yep. I had
So
Houston.
You're also a big Kelvin Sampson fan.
Houston, Michigan. Michigan didn't pan out so well, but we still have our champion in the running. I had Michigan, Houston going over Michigan. So
Well, you are also a big Kelvin Sampson fan tonight. I know
Yep.
a lot of people are going to pick Florida. A lot of money is going to get put on this game, but we got off in time. So you still got time. Go prepare a snack, grab a beverage of choice, sit down and watch the national championship. And then later on this week, watch some baseball, huh?
Oh, yeah. Can't get better.
Can't get better. We're out of here.
See everybody next Monday.